Hello. Today I'm sharing 10 ways to change a negative perspective. 10 ways to change or shift your negative perspectives. First of all, though, it is very important for you to realize why our perspectives are so important. That is what I covered on my first video in this series. Second of all, it's vital to understand that all your perspectives are not necessarily correct, right, good, or healthy for your mental health. A perspective can be incorrect because we don't have all the information and we're just seeing it from our point of view, or it can be literally wrong, or it can just be something that is not the healthiest way to go to think, because, we're all here to work on our mental health, right? I am. I hope you are too. So I'm going to share 10 ways that I've learned that helps me to shift my perspectives, period, especially my negative or unhealthy ones or incorrect ones. So the first two were important, so check that playlist out and watch the first two if you haven't. Okay, so number one, physical movement. So I'm going to share the first 5 are more the ones that can be done in the most immediate. And the second 5-ish are a little more in-depth into self-care and take a little more discipline and scheduling it in your schedule. Just one way to put it. So the first one is physical movement. Physical movement, and I'm not saying it's easy for every one of us if you're disabled or have a hard time with that. But in general, that's a great, immediate, fast thing we can do. That is, we could do even on a break at work, we can do on a whim, or we can schedule it, of course. Any of these things, if you do them regularly, they're going to help you more. But even if you're doing them once in a while to help a perspective because of a problem, an issue that's very hard, and maybe you're negative, hurtful, grief, whatever it is, trauma, it's also things we can do in the immediate to help ourselves. But if we make these a part of our lives, all the better. But physical movement is definitely one that helps mental health. It's proven to help mental health, and it's also, therefore, definitely proven to help grief and loss, because much of grief and loss involves things like anxiety and depression and PTSD and anger and so forth. Okay? So physical movement is like just getting up, even if you have to walk around your house, but go and take a walk. Whatever you like to do. I love to dance. Whatever the physical movement is, I'm not going to talk long about each one of these points because I want to put all these on one video and not have it be too long for you. But physical movement definitely helps. It lowers the cortisol and it higher the dopamine. It just can make us immediately shift us and help us. Okay, so that was one I put down for number one. Another second one that I'm going to go over, it kind of involves the physical movement one, but I'm calling it a change of scenery. Okay? Now, whether this, again, you can take this to different levels, because if you haven't had a vacation in a long time, you need to take a vacation, especially if you're a workaholic or you work all the time. You need to take a vacation. Okay? It doesn't mean vacations solve everything, but that is important. But even if you're just going away for an hour and doing something different than what you're used to doing. I have a park that I love going to, and I've gone to it tons of time, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. And it's only about 7 minutes from my house. Okay, go find a park. It's starting to get cooler out. Of course, I'm in Florida, so other places it's going to get cold. But bottom line, we're not dealing with excruciating heat when I'm making this video. But either way, even when it did, I still made sure I was doing movement, and it helps me tremendously. But a change of scenery, just going, even if you have a room in your house where you can look outside and see the beauty of it, go take 5-10 minutes to look outside, shift your perspective. So this can be done on a small scale or a large scale. Okay, set it in your schedule. I'm going to go to, it could be an attraction. I'm not going to say what it is. You got to figure out what would be good for you. Don't do something that's crazy stressful, because that's not going to necessarily help it. Okay. But put something in your schedule to find a change of scenery, whether it's for an hour or 15 minutes, whether it's for the whole day, or finally scheduling a vacation. But that, bottom line, definitely can shift us. Absolutely. We can begin to be kind of outside looking in, and it just, I think most people would agree. That's a great shift of our perspective. It can help us change those negative. The actual changing of the perspective is something you got to do, but these are things that can help you to set yourself up for a change for the better in your thinking and your perspective. The third one I want to bring up is journaling. Most people know journaling is very good. We don't all do it. We don't all like to do it. It is definitely good. Even if you do a little bit again, or if you're super negative, you're super caught up, you're super depressed, you don't know what to do, you feel like you've hit a brick wall, you don't really want to live anymore, whatever it is, all the more journaling is great, because you can, as long as you can find a piece of paper, you could type it, you could audio it, but actually writing it, it makes a difference in the actual writing. So as long as you can get a piece of paper somewhere and keep that private, if you need to keep it private, and you have something to write with, you're good to go. So it's an inexpensive, pretty quick way to help your mentality, help your thinking, help your perspectives, okay? And can help you to not be so negative in that perspective about whatever that is that's really bad. This week I made a major mistake, and I'm not going into my example. Something I've never done. It is a common thing other people struggle with, but I've never done it, and I'm still getting my way out of it. But because I know some things to help myself, I'm okay. I'll be happy when it gets resolved, but I'm okay. Okay, so with the journaling, I'm going to be putting some of the videos in the link that I've already had about these topics, about these ways and things you can do. In journaling, I have a whole 4-video series called 5 and 5 Exercise on journaling from the negative to the positives. You actually journal out what you're struggling with and how you feel first, and then you shift to the positives or the things you're grateful for. So here's where I'm going to just touch briefly on being grateful and choosing to be grateful even for the simplest thing, that you're not homeless, or for your pet, or for your friend, whatever it would be that you can be thankful for. That is definitely a shift of our perspective. It definitely, you just have to determine it. I'm thankful for this, and it will shift you. So I want to put that gratitude, which many people call it gratitude journaling, right here at this point, okay? It can come later as well, but it's important to mention it. All right, the fourth one that I have down is to decide to be teachable and humble. To make that decision. Maybe you're already a very humble person and you think too low of yourself, so you don't have a problem with that. But don't just be humble, be teachable, and don't just be teachable, be humble. So I put those two together. It's a decision to make to do that. I may do whole videos on some of these now that I've written these down, because I wrote a lot of them off the cuff, because these are all ones that have helped me, and I know also are very helpful overall to people. But deciding to be teachable and humble is not an act of doing something like the other ones. It's a position of your heart and mind to say that, okay, I totally know what Julie's saying about that not all my perspectives or not all my thinking is correct or healthy or good or any of that sort, or productive you could call them. So I know I need to be humble and teachable within my thinking. I need to think about my thinking, and I need to learn how to think. And there's a whole lot to that, but here I am touching on it. But I talk about a lot in my other videos. So decide to be teachable and humble. When you decide to be teachable and humble, immediately think about it in life. If you're teachable about anything in life, you're opening yourself up to change. You're opening yourself up to learning better how to deal with it, or do it a better way, or to learn how to do it at all. So we can get this, that this makes sense in life in general, right? But you need to be that in your thinking. So I want to bring that to your attention. That's a very important one. I think that needs to be there, period. Very much so. Because you could be doing these other things, but if you think, oh, my thinking's all correct, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm perfect almost, or I've got it all together, then you're not going to be able to shift those perspectives that need to be shifted, okay? So that's my fourth one. My fifth one is to intentionally help someone in need, unconditionally. Intentionally help someone in need unconditionally. Some of y'all, maybe you do that all the time. But even if you do, when you're in that darkest, deepest part, and you need to do some of these other ones that I've already talked about and the ones to come, okay? But if you intentionally be kind or help somebody unconditionally without expecting anything back, especially if you go and actually do something for them, I don't know, give them a card, maybe if they're a person who's sick or lost somebody, or, do something intentionally for them. Give them a call, let them talk. Let them just talk, and you listen, and maybe that's all you do. You do something that's in your power and your ability to do for somebody else. Man, I've heard this for all my life, for people who say, it's actually selfish for me to go help somebody else because I always get blessed back, or it helps me, especially if they're, and I don't like to compare, I'm very against comparison, and I have a video on comparison, but if their situation definitely looks like worse than yours, okay, or what have you, then it can help you to go put your perspective more in balance and position in a way like, okay, I am not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one who has gone through this, and I'm not alone. And look at what they went through. This is not even as bad as that. Even if that's what you have to think, not that that's always a perfect way to think, that's good because you're seeing it in a different light now. Okay, because you did something good and kind and wonderful for somebody else, small or big. Okay, and it shifts your perspective. So it's a known fact that happens to many people. That's why a lot of people volunteer all throughout our country and the world. That's why they volunteer. So I think that's a very proven point right there. But it's important we think of that, because if we have this list and this video in our repertoire to keep listening to, we can go back and go, oh, yeah, I can do that right now to help me, Because the quicker we help ourselves, the quicker we don't end up making worse decisions or falling into a pit in a sense, or being in despair or depression, or going and making other foolish decisions, substance-wise, I don't know, all kinds of things I can say. It can help us to not waste time or do wrong things in our life and put us forward to get the help we need to. So that's another one, I think. And then now I'm moving more into the ones that can be done more in a disciplined manner, but they're all immediate. So my number 6 is reading the Bible. I'm all about the Word of God. Many of my followers are too. But reading the Bible, reading a book that talks about the Bible, self-help books in general, we could say that, but I'm specifically saying the Word of God, because the Word of God, according to Hebrews, is living and active and sharper than a double-edged sword, piercing through bone and marrow, judging the thoughts and attitudes of our heart. Well, I don't know, that just came to my mind. So there's my verse for this video. But reading the Word, because it's alive and active, because it's written, inspired by God through people, I've proven it. It shifts my mind. It changes my thinking. It helps me. It strengthens me. It's like it feeds my soul, feeds my spirit. Jesus said, man can't live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. We can't even live without it. So we definitely need that help in our thinking and our perspectives by the Word of God. Okay, so studying it, reading it daily, of course, even a little bit, meditating on it, because King David talks about meditating on the Word and the truth is literally like really letting it sink in, not just reading it fast, but letting it sink in, doing what the Word says, even more powerful. But bottom line, even if you just read the Bible silently, I encourage you to read it out loud. It definitely shifts perspectives. If you're not much of a reader, or you want to do this on top of it, most of us already know this, everything's on YouTube. There's Bible on YouTube. There's different people with different accents, if you like the English accent or whatever, that read the Word. So you can absolutely find one on YouTube and listen to that, and it will help your perspectives. Oh my goodness, absolutely. Okay, number 7. Praise and worship is the way I wrote it. Again, you can put these things in different ways, but praise and worship. If you're I mean, if you're not a believer in Jesus and you're just listening to upbeat, positive music, that can shift your perspective. Anything that we receive as positive, upbeat, and just moves in our thinking and in our emotions can shift our perspectives for the good. Absolutely. And some songs are, literally to build us up. And like I think of Mandisa's Overcomer, and so many other songs. There's just, our world, our world today is full of worship and Christian music, uplifting music. I listen to Joy FM, which now is in a lot of different states. So even if you're wherever you are, you probably can tap into Joy FM, 91.5 down here, but that's my area. Is uplifting music is what they call it. Okay, so that is definitely a shift. If you are a believer in Jesus, though, and you're not listening, you're only listening or singing songs only at church service, I hope you are going to church services, because many people don't even do that. But if you don't have a daily habit of it, I'm trying to work on that in my life to do that more. And it definitely shifts my perspectives and my thinking. Praise and worship music. You can be doing that while you're cleaning. You can listen to it in the shower, of course, with our phones. Most of us can do that. Driving, absolutely. Whatever it is, we can do that. And if you need help with your mental health and all around, and you have a lot of negative emotions you're dealing with, and that's kind of part of the way to help us to know that we need perspective shifts, is when we're dealing with a lot of negative emotions, okay? Really down in them, heavy on them, they're heavy on us. These are all things we can be doing to help to take off the overwhelm, to shift the negative emotions and so forth, okay? So praise and worship, definitely. Just sitting before God and doing it as you're moving, whatever. And there's where gratefulness and thankfulness can come into. And a lot of songs talk about, they're singing about being thankful to God. So the gratefulness, I'm going to bring it back up again, of course, comes in with this as well. All right, so that's the 7th way of my 10 ways to change a negative perspective. Okay, and so number 8 is to work on renewing your mind. Now, this is a principle overall, and there's many ways to do this, but I'm not going to even go there, because I have other videos on this, so I'm going to include that in the description of this video. Any ones that I can think of that I've created in the past that would apply to renewing your mind. I definitely had a whole series on that, and the journaling, I had that series, and then the next one I have a series on too. But renewing your mind, if you choose and want to renew your mind, the Bible commands us to renew our mind. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's a very good verse right there in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, I believe it is, right at the beginning of the chapter. Take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And I always forget what that one is, but I know it by heart. There's other verses too. Trust me, those are not the only two. I just did a video focusing more on Philippians. Actually, that was in the second video on perspective, Philippians 4. You'll hear me talk about that one, and that's a really good one. So renewing our mind, being intentional, putting that into your self-care, putting that into your daily quiet time, if you want to call it that, your time that you work on you. Whether it's in the morning, it's a good time to do it, but before bed, whenever you have the time, whatever works for your schedule. Renewing your mind. That's more of a principle, just like choosing to be humble and teachable is. Deciding intentionally, I want to renew my mind. Because if you intentionally decide to renew your mind and know you need to renew your mind and want to do that, especially as a follower of Jesus Christ, or even not, I just intentionally want to change my thinking to make it more positive, more healthy, more productive, more encouraging, all those words and more, right? That is a huge thing to do. And I have been doing that for years now. And I've learned different ways to do it. But when you have that in your mind, hey, I'm going to work on my thinking. And then if you're a believer, Lord, show me how to renew my mind. Show me how to do it. Again, with the Word of God, reading the Word, but praying. I can mention different things, ways that I've learned to renew my mind. Declarations, which is my next point, has helped me renew my mind. Speaking the truth aloud about myself has helped me renew my mind. So there's different ways to do that, but intentionally choosing to do that, okay? So that's number 8. And number 9 is daily declarations over yourself. I have more than one video on that. Again, I'll put it in the description. I'm very big on that. I do that in my coaching. That is what I've learned to do for myself. Huge, huge shift in the way I think about myself, because perspectives are either about you or others or situations, or maybe whole areas of your life. All of that, the world. We have perspectives about the world. You may have perspectives about this blouse that I'm wearing today, which I chose to wear, but I thought, hey, this is kind of, it's an artistic, right? It's got, I think it's a face there, if you see a face there in the middle. But we have visual perspectives about things. That's different perspectives about what we see visually, yes. So we could all have different perspectives about this shirt that I'm wearing, this blouse or whatever. So, we all have different ones, but what we declare and speak out of our mouth is hugely important of our thoughts. What we say out of our mouth comes from our thoughts. It also comes from our heart. So what we say out of our mouth comes from our thoughts, but what we say out of our mouth can also shift our thoughts. It's a cyclical thing, okay? I learned to start saying, I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than a conqueror. Just me saying that over myself. That was my first declaration I started saying over myself on a somewhat regular basis. And it shifted me. Now I realize the verse says, I'm more than a conqueror through him who loves me. So I declare that. So there's so many. I have drawers right over here and this little end table thingy that I have. I have different piles of different categories of declarations on index cards and little baggies. That's just the way I do it. And I go through different ones, different days. I have a whole lot of them. I could go through them every day, but I don't. But I'll divide them up, switch them up. But then if I'm more needy one day, I'll go to a certain subject. Like I'm struggling with fear, so I go to my pile on fear. So these have tremendously shifted me. All right. And the 10th one is wise counsel. I put that last because it does not need to be the last one to go to. But if you are super, super duper struggling, and maybe you're doing a lot of these, or you start doing and you're still massively struggling, I definitely encourage you to get wise counsel, whether it be a therapist or a close friend you can trust, maybe a family member you can trust, a mentor or a pastor or again, all these things, a psychologist, a counselor, a life coach. I'm a life coach. I never finished my master's. I went for a master's. I have a BA in counseling and psychology. So I do have a degree in this, but I didn't finish the master's. So I'm a life coach, and that's awesome. I'm totally content being a life coach. And life coaches sometimes are even, sorry to say it, I mean, it totally depends on who you get, but sometimes life coaches are more ready there to make the goals with you, because that's what coaching is about. Is like, where do you want to go in life? What do you want to attain? And then they partner with you and they encourage you and they give you ideas if you want them, but they're there to partner you to go forward to meet that goal and to change. So they're not just about the past, although we look at the past because we all have to reflect on the past to go forward. So that's who I am. I'm grief coach Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss is the way I say it. And so that wise counsel is very important, because just by you sharing, sometimes just when we share, and a lot of people vouch for this, sometimes when we just vent and get out what we're dealing with, immediately our perspective changes. Immediately we feel lighter. Immediately we feel better. And sometimes we figure out our own solution right there. So it takes that other person and saying it to them to get us to do that. But add on somebody who has wisdom and has that ability to then reflect back the way they see it. That different perspective, because they're not in your body and in your life. They're hearing you, but they're on the outside. That their perspective can help shift your perspective. And that can be an amazing help. It can be a crisis help, a very serious and important crisis help is that. So it does not mean this is the least. I put it last because sometimes people, that's the last thing they'll do. So if all the other things are not helping you, and definitely consider wise counsel. And so with that, I'm going to end this with, saying that with the wise counsel that I can help and that I love to help people with this. I offer a free consult, a complimentary consult, a whole hour of my time to give to you online or in person. If you're in Tampa Bay area, you can come to this room where I'm at right now, my office, or online. just like you're, on Zoom is how I do it. So if I'm going to put the link inside the description, I do that on most of my videos, by the way. And you can click on that and make an appointment within my schedule, but it works for you. If none of my schedule works for you, reach out to me and let me know. We'll figure something out. But that is totally a free hour I give you with no obligation, and where we talk about really what is going on in your life. I ask certain questions to keep that hour as productive as possible so that I can then give you at least one tip or more suggestions right there in the hour. Pray with you if you want prayer, and support you with whatever you're going through, and then talk about moving you forward. And then from there, we talk about whether you want to work with you and help you and be a support system for you, be an encouragement to you, be a safe person for you, because we all need safe people. I need safe people. I have videos on that too. So I'm Julie Kay, helping you find your way through grief and loss. Please go in that link, set it up. Don't be afraid to set it up with me. I'm not a pushy person. I'm there to help you. And if that's all you do is that 1 hour with me, I'm totally fine with that. That is part of what I give, a free gift I give. So let's do that together. Go in the description and click that link. And if you have a problem with the link, again, please let me know. You can PM me through Messenger. At the same name, you see Julie Kettles actually is the best way to do it. Julie Kettles, Kettles. And, or even put a comment on one of the videos, because I usually read those. But however you reach out to me, I have a website, juliekay.org, so you can find that on there as well. juliekay.org. There's a button on there where you can click that free consult right on my website. So juliekay.org. This has been great. Look forward to more videos. I'm going to probably be taking some of these topics and breaking them down more, and possibly more videos on perspective, but check out my series too. God bless you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.